Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, especially the 144,000, who consist of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, today on the screen, as you can see, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump and this supposed AI image of him depicted as Jesus. I'm going to try and keep it short. What it is, yesterday I attempted to make this video and I kind of got halfway through, then it all went a bit Pete Tong wrong. So it's my second attempt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just use half of the information that I got today, that I'm going to use today, and then I'll make another video with the other half of information. But yeah, the last couple of days you've seen this Donald Trump AI image, Jesus, and then the media push a narrative, and and if you look throughout, social media, even the mainstream media, they're talking of Donald Trump depicted as Jesus in this AI image, and a lot of people in uproar about it, so on and so forth. Some people say it's like Epstein. I mean, you got this guy. There was another guy here. They're saying that it looks like this guy, but we're not really looking at that. We're really more just looking at Trump and what he's actually doing, how he's depicted himself. And so people are saying Jesus, and it's the same thing with the war. And I said to you about the war. You have a media narrative. The media narrative is Donald Trump's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. But what you have to do, you have to kind of, you follow the media to see what's going on. But then you kind of have to see on the side to actually what they're doing. These are deceptive people that are in power. So you have to, look somewhere else. When they point you in one direction, you have to look somewhere else. So with the Iran war, you look at Donald Trump. They've got you to look at Donald Trump and like he's the crazy man. He's causing all this. The bottom line is whoever brings World War III in to play is going to be classed as a crazy person. And it just so happens that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai has put it on him to do that. I've been telling you that before he came into power. And even to this day, like Deontay Wilder, even to this day, he's doing everything he can. I said this in the last video, and since then he does this stuff. He's done more stuff. He does this AI depiction of Jesus, and again with the media narrative, they get you to push. They push a narrative upon you. They get you to sort of think in a certain way. They've got everyone in uproar, and this is blasphemy, blah blah blah. But there's probably, you have to look somewhere else. If that's what the majority of the people believe, that the majority of the people aren't that bright, and there's a lot of people that follow what they're told, and then a lot of these people are going to get judged on the day of the Lord. So you have to look somewhere else to find truth. And so again, over the last couple of days, and I've seen a few, like Remnant Saved, I think he made a post about the Magnus. So the tarot cards. You've heard of tarot cards. One of them is the magician. I believe his name's Magnus. I believe it goes back to Greek philosophy, and that's exactly how Donald Trump has dressed himself in this AI image, or he's been dressed. Obviously, Donald Trump didn't sit there and type in. I could sit here doing this crap, sit here with AI and just making up videos and Lego videos and images, make it look cool. You could be like IUIC and just sell your video, get loads of hits. But I ain't got really time for that. So if I haven't got time for that, I ain't got the patience for that. You think this old man is going to sit there all day, tapping away on AI just to create this image of himself? Somebody did it for him. and then more than likely a team or a group of people. And as I keep saying to you, he's controlled by the people above. You have these mysteries in this world about these secret societies, people, what they do behind scenes, who's really running the show, so on and so forth. So, when you come across this tarot card, you look into it deeper, the magician represents pretty much making reality come true. So, as I keep saying, this is the man that's designed to bring in this World War III, this new order, this new world order. The magician, harness your energy and make your dreams a reality. You can do it. So, people go to these tarot card readings, and that's pretty much what it represents. They draw for a different card, the different card, and the spirit guide or whatever would say, you've drawn this particular card. This is what it represents. It's all, it's not something obviously we'd get into, and being, believers in Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, but this is what other people do. So it's coming from, I think, like I said, believe Greek philosophy. So in my mind, when I looked at this, this made me think of the Chaldeans. You go to Daniel chapter 2, obviously you'll read of the Chaldeans. This is Daniel 2 verse 10. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth who can show the king's matter. See, this is relating to the story that you read here. Therefore there is no king nor lord nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean, for the interpretation of the king's dream. Obviously, in the end, we know how the story goes. Daniel had to be sought, and he's the one who's able to break down the dream. But in that time of Daniel, you had these people, the Chaldeans, and this is what they're known for. It's kind of basics, but if you're new, obviously it's important to understand. I then typed into Google AI overview, is Mystery Babylon. So you read in the, this is what we teach. If you're learning, this is what you can do. You can type things into Google. You know the answers because we're telling you them. You type it in and it will give you all the talking points. You can go and pull up the scriptures from there. And you connect it together. But it's written here, is Mystery Babylon, the Bible in the Bible, connected to philosophy of Chaldean as well as ancient Egypt. I went on to write ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. I could have put Babylon, to be honest, but based on biblical prophecy, historical analysis, and theological interpretation, Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation is widely understood to be connected to philosophical, religious, and political systems of ancient Chaldean, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. So, when we teach you this, we come in the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, we teach you this. You see these other people, they try to fight and argue against it. This is, even AI would break it down. You go to the book of Revelation, you find this place called Babylon, but this time, in particular in Revelation chapter 17, it will mention it as Mystery Babylon. People try to say, no, we tell you that's America. They say, no, that's old Babylon. That's one argument that they use. But clearly here's AI, using its information, is breaking it down and explaining it exactly the same way we do. It is generally, so you come across, again, if you're new, you're coming across this Mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation, this new place in the future, which judgment, the great day of the Lord, centered around that particular place. It's quite an important place to know. And it's telling you here, it's connected to the philosophical, religious, and political systems of ancient Chaldean, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. It is generally interpreted as an amalgamation of pagan idolatry, apostate religious systems, and global political power, originating at Babel, which is Babylon, and culminating in end times entity. So that end times entity is America. the entity of Mystery Babylon, with everything that AI has explained here, which is exactly how we explain it to you, is culminates in an end time entity. That end time entity is America. Like I say, when you go to Revelation 17, it describes that Mystery Babylon as a whore that rides the beast. You go to Revelation 13, and the beast is broken down there, ancient Rome and the revised Roman Empire that we're living in. It goes on to issue a mark of that particular beast in which you will not be able to buy or sell. It's that same beast, the EU and NATO, that represents controlled by America. So I'm not going to go into all this. Like I say, if you're new, you should really, you can go into this, you can understand it more. And like I say, go to the scriptures that we give you, and you get the breakdowns, but then you can summarize it on Google, and it helps you to understand the whole concept. But it's like Apostle Paul, with Berea, he's supposed to check what he went there, and he's given them props for checking what he told them, because anyone can tell you anything, but what does it mean? It means something when you've checked what they've said to you, and it comes up good, and you go, wow, well, actually, what you told me is a brand new thing. I went and checked it, and it makes sense. And so now I have a new concept, and I know how to back it, rather than just blindly regurgitating, what you've been told, which is what a lot of people in this current world do. But connections to ancient systems, Mystery Babylon. Obviously, one of them was a Chaldean philosophy and magic, and that's what Donald Trump had the same outfit as the magician. They said it's AI Jesus, as in the form of Donald Trump. That's what the media narrative. Donald Trump came out and told you he's a doctor, and everybody's like, oh, what a likely story, eh? But we're showing you that he's got the clothing, the attire of a Chaldean philosophy and magic in terms of the garment, as in that type of form, as in a magician. Sorry, that like I said, that image that they use with the red and the white comes from ancient Greek philosophy, but the Chaldean philosophy included magic. Mystery Babylon, goes on to say, is frequently identified as the resurgence of the ancient Chaldean system of religion and magic. Scholars trace the roots of pagan idolatry to Babylon, specifically through Nimrod and Semiramis, which spread and influenced Chaldean astrology, magic, and mysteries worldwide. So we live in a society today, and there are mysteries worldwide. One of those mysteries, one of the major mysteries, is who runs the world. Who's behind these governments, who's pulling the strings, and why is the world in such a wicked place? And that's one of the main mysteries. It's one of the mysteries that the Most High is unveiling, through the prophets, through the Holy Spirit, through Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So then you have like people that come out and they'll say, yeah, this is what these secret societies, this is what they do. They release information, they put it in your face, and but you sort of see it, like the Simpsons. People say, oh, they predicted it. Or they didn't predict it. They told you what they were going to do first. So that's the type of society we live in. It happens. So like I say, I'm not going to go into the rest. Ancient Egypt, Greece and Rome. Like I say, you can look it up. Anyway, you can do your own research in your own time. Chaldeans, magic. This is the next thing. So Chaldean magicians. So we know America is Mystery Babylon. It controls that political system, EU and NATO. So you have Donald Trump, who's the man but in charge. We keep telling you that there's elites behind him who pull the strings. He's come out as AI Jesus. People say, oh, it's AI Jesus. He said, no, I'm a doctor. They say, oh, it's a likely story. No, you're taking the piss. You're dressed up as Jesus. So we know there's secret societies and so on and so forth. So when you put it all together and you look into the Chaldean magicians, this is in the ancient world, Chaldean magicians were high status scholars and priests from Mesopotamia, renowned for their mastery of astronomy, mathematics, and occult sciences. In historical texts like the Book of Daniel, the term Chaldean often refers specifically to a class of wise men and magi serving the Babylonian royal court. So yeah, any old person could start doing a little bit of witchcraft and call themselves an astronomer or a mathematician, but the Chaldeans are specifically a class of wise men. You can't just pull yourself into that group. Core practices and beliefs. Ancient Chaldean magic was deeply rooted in Sumerian animism. It's the belief that every natural object possessed soul or spirit. The practices generally fell into several categories: astrology and divination, demonology, incantations, and theurgy, which is pretty much what they call like purifying. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go into, too deep. Astrology and divination, they were famed for reading the stars to predict the future and interpret divine will. Demonology practitioners believed in a complex hierarchy of spirits, including succubi and vampires. Incantations, rituals often involved reciting specific formulas to ward off evil spirits, diseases, or misfortune. Theurgy, I'm not really sure if that's how you pronounce it. Later Chaldean oracles, 2nd century, focused on theurgy or God working, which use rituals to purify the soul and communicate with the divine. So they're pretty much working on a spiritual level, but on the left-hand side, whereas we're working on a spiritual level on the right-hand side. We call on Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. We tell you that the Most High, the top entity, the highest entity. We call him the Most High, the highest entity in the universe, in all of creation, is Yahweh. The one they often refer to as God, and then He has a son, Yahweh Shai. We come at you in that power, and we believe we have the Holy Spirit, and that's why even before Donald Trump came into power, I'm able to tell you this is going to be the man to bring about what we need. Mark of the Beast, World War III, so on and so forth. So we're working on the right-hand side, spiritual power. It's a righteous power. It's a righteous connection. But these other nations, these other different people around the earth, even our own people have succumbed to these other philosophies and religions in life. So they work through, spiritual divination, so on and so forth, but they're doing it on the left-hand side. They have all these names and different names that they call upon. Things might happen because the spirits exist, but ultimately they're not the Most High, and the Most High is going to punish them for it. Although these spirits do work under control of the Most High. Just quickly add this for the other video, Revelation chapter 20 and 3. Satan is pretty much loosened a little season, so we're living in that time, and that's why these spirits have the power to go out there and deceive and encompass these people into these demonic religions and philosophies and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to go too deep into that. His hierarchy of wise men. So the Chaldeans are a specific group of wise men, specifically to a class of wise men and magi serving the Babylonian royal court. So in the modern times, the royal court would, if you like, would be like the elites. They don't really put themselves on TV like that, but they're the ones who really run society. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. So the Magi's, the Chaldeans, work for them, just like Donald Trump works for the elites. So hierarchy of wise men. Historical accounts, such as the records of Sir Henry Rawlinson, suggest three primary classes of Chaldean doctors. So when Donald Trump told you he's a doctor, he's not joking. He's being deadly serious. And this is what I keep telling you. The media have a narrative. When they get 90% of the population talking about something, that's usually bullshit. And you have to look somewhere else to find the 2% and find, the real information. So Donald Trump told you he's a doctor, a magician, like as in the Chaldeans. So three levels of classes of Chaldean doctor, um, cartoomin, conjurers, experts in performing magic rituals and conjurations. Level number 2, shakamin, physicians, learned men who combined medical knowledge with spiritual healing, and that's what Donald Trump was doing in that AI image. He's dressed as a magician and he's healing. And then when they said, "Oh, you dress as Jesus," he said, "No, I'm dressed as a doctor." And everybody says, "Oh, what a likely story!" But he's telling you the truth. He actually told you the truth, and this is the beauty of what they do, because they present the information in front of you, but people can't see it. Back to those mysteries. And then obviously the third level of Chaldean doctor, Asaphim, Theosophists, philosophers and scholars focused on divine wisdom. So he's in that group, and he's probably not the elite, so he's probably level number 2 doing the work. But either way, these are Chaldean doctors. So they do the work in general for the royals, the Babylonian royals. And in this case, the royals are the elites, the banking elites, and so on and so forth, or whoever these people from small hats, that are paid into his campaign and so on and so forth, or whoever pushes his buttons, whoever's creating those images, these are the people he's working for. So they're like the royals, and he's on the level of a doctor. He told you. Influence on later magic. Chaldean practices are considered a precursor, to medieval European magic. Elements of their demonology and the names of their gods, such as Baal and Ishtar, frequently appear in later Western occult grimoires. And obviously, is it Ishtar? That's what they use for Easter, I believe, is it not? Modern scholars and occultists still study these origins through works like Francois Lenormand's Chaldean Magic, Its Origin and Development. So this is why it comes. It starts off, it'll start off like, for example, in what we read about. Anyway, obviously, it probably goes back further, but what we read about in the Bible, it'll start with times like Chaldeans, and it will develop into ancient Greek, and then even into medieval times. And what it is, these customs, philosophies, or religions, they stand the course of time. And then as they stand the course of time, obviously they adapt, they do these similar things, but as it says, certain things remain the same. The names they call upon, what they're trying to do, connect with the spirit world, and these spirits do exist. But you have some that are to deceive, and some that are to enlighten. Like I say, the ones that we get enlightened by are from Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. So it goes on to say, this is the question they asked me: are you interested in a specific ritual practice or astronomical systems used by these ancient scholars? My question from here was, how does it connect with today's version of Freemasonry and Illuminati practices? Because obviously we're connecting today. Donald Trump, he told you he's a doctor, and we're taking you all the way back to the Chaldeans. But then to go from the Chaldeans, you've got to work your way all the way back to where we are now. And we know that the mysteries of the world, hidden societies, who's really pushing the governments, what's really going on, that's the big question. you've heard of Illuminati, you've heard of Freemasons. So this gives you a little rundown on it. How does it connect in the Chaldean philosophy? So it goes on to say here the connection between ancient Chaldean magic and modern secret societies like Freemasonry and the Illuminati is found primarily in symbolic continuity and the preservation of ancient mysteries. While there is no direct evidence of an unbroken lineage from ancient Babylon to these modern groups, they share a common reservoir of esoteric philosophy and symbolic instruction. Symbolic continuity. Freemasonry heavily utilizes symbols and allegories that practitioners trace back to the ancient mysteries, which include Chaldean, Egyptian, and Greek traditions. This is the Temple of Solomon, a central theme in Masonic ritual. The temple was famously sacked by the Chaldeans. Masons view the search for lost knowledge from this era as a core spiritual goal. So that's don't forget I asked about today's version of Freemasonry, and it says the Masons view the search for lost knowledge from this era as a core spiritual goal. That's what they believe today. Astronomy and geometry, just as Chaldean magicians were the premier astronomers and mathematicians of their day, Freemasonry emphasizes geometry, geometry, symbolized by the letter G, as the foundation of divine architecture, and that's what you see everywhere, with that letter G. Initial rituals, the Masonic process of moving from darkness into light, mirrors ancient Chaldean purifications and trials used to test the worthiness of candidates before revealing the keys of wisdom. So you have all these weird initiation processes and so on and so forth and things like that, and this is what it's all about. It all connects. You got Freemasonry and these so-called Illuminatis and whatever behind the scene. Well, this is talking about Freemasonry, and they pretty much bring that into play, into this modern world, into high levels of society, into the media, to make it famous, so on and so forth. And this all goes back to, as it said, ancient Chaldean, Greek, and ancient Egyptian philosophies, traditions. For initiation rituals, the Illuminati. So it's giving you Freemasonry. Now it's giving you the Illuminati and the religion of reason. The historical Bavarian Illuminati, founded in 1776, hijacked existing Masonic lodges to recruit members, leading to the conflation, the conflict or creation of the two groups. Infiltration. The Illuminati used the secretive structure of Masonic lodges to spread anti-establishment ideas throughout Europe. Ideology. While Chaldean magicians sought to master the supernatural, the original Illuminati sought a religion of reason to replace traditional religion. However, both shared the divinatory tendency to reveal hidden truths about the world that are inaccessible to the uninitiated masses. So this is why when you see your Simpsons, the Simpsons predicted it. No. They tell you something, they show it to the masses, and they're revealing a hidden truth about the world that were inaccessible. So when Donald Trump is revealing, he told you he's a doctor, and everybody laughs at him, but he's revealing a hidden mystery to the world of uninitiated masses, and that is all those people on social media saying, "Oh, it's AI Jesus. Oh, look at you now. He's trying to call himself a doctor." I said it before. These people, they're wiser than the media let them on to be. But it's not really him. It's the people behind him. He's part of a network. Donald Trump doesn't run the show. He doesn't run anything. The only decision he's really making is what socks to wear in the morning. What color tie to wear. Even the tie, they probably make him wear the certain tie, certain color ties on certain days. So he probably doesn't even choose that. But obviously within that, they've probably given him that, awarded him that, because he's doing the work. Remember what I said to you in January before he's come into power, and then people that paid for him to be in power, and now they're leaning on him. They're saying, "Come on, Donald, you've been in power for a year now. We got our friend Bibi over there waiting for you to join him in war. We got to do this thing." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't really want to do that. I told these people I'm not really going to do that." And then all of a sudden they start flashing the Epstein files. They only get found out if they want you to find out. So they let it out a little bit. They put him under pressure. He sent him to war, and now they rewarded him, and they're giving him his position as a doctor, as a magician, because he's making their dreams come true. He's the man that they put into that to take that flak. Like I said, whoever they put in that position, whoever the Most High puts in the position to create World War III, whoever the secret society put in the position to bring in the New World Order, whoever it is, they're going to be called a madman. So you just have to take it on the chin if you're part of that clique. And they've rewarded him. They said, "You're a magician. You're making our dreams come true." And that's when he tells you, "Yeah, these people, they're lovely people, they're wonderful people." Why do you think he tells you that? It's for these reasons. I've got to read that again. Ideology. While Chaldean magicians sought to master the supernatural, the original Illuminati sought a religion of reason to replace the traditional religions. However, both of them shared the divinatory tendency to reveal hidden truths about the world that were inaccessible to the uninitiated masses. He come out and told you he's a doctor and nobody believes him. But he's telling the truth. Influence on occult revival. In the 19th and 20th centuries, a modern occult revival linked many secret societies, groups like Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn borrowed from both Masonic structure and Chaldean-inspired astrology and Kabbalah to create their ritual systems. Key differences today: Freemasonry is widely known, fraternal organization focused on moral improvement and charity. Well, that's how they dress themselves up. They create an organization to front it, but they obviously do their business in the background. The historical Illuminati ceased to exist by the early. See, do you know what I mean? So what they're gonna tell you that these things don't exist, basically. But after you just broke it all down, and we've seen, we don't need AI to tell us that bit because we've the fact that they're dead. So they put it in your face. They're doing what they're doing, and the things that they do behind secret doors are described in the Bible. You read it in the Bible as philosophies and rituals, and what type of philosophies traditions that they follow, the people, the gods that they follow, and you look into them, you realize what they're about, and then you see it happen in front of you. So he comes out, he says, "Yeah." He puts his thing in there. "Oh, no, you're Jesus." He's, "No, I'm not Jesus. I'm a doctor." And nobody believes him. It's just like, "Oh, he's just making it up." But he just told you. And he's dressed like the magician. The magician, they go back to the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans, they have a high class of wise men known as the Magi. And they're known as doctors. And Donald, I believe he's been rewarded. Like I say, he came out, they paid for him to get into power. Their money put him back into Nero 47, Trump 47. And they're putting pressure. They had to have put pressure on him. Go and start that war. He didn't really want to do it. They flashed the Epstein files. He does it. What are we now? 28th. So we're like about a month and a half into this war, although they're on a ceasefire at the minute. And they've probably given him that title, some sort of title within their spiritualistic world. He came out, he told you, I'm a doctor. And what he meant is he's a magi, he's a Chaldean, he's a magician. And he goes back to the tarot card. Where is it? There's one here. Because people go and get tarot readings, don't they? And so you go pull out the card. If you pull out the magician, harness your energy and make your dreams a reality. You can do it. New World Order. So I'm going to leave it right there. I hope that was edifying. Until next time, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.